Good afternoon and welcome to the Gooch and Housego PLC Interim Results Investor Presentation. Throughout the recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and they can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab situated in the right-hand corner of your screen. Just simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives in the meeting itself. However, the company can review all the questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I'd like to submit the following poll. I'd now like to hand you up to CEO Charlie Pepiat. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining G&H's interim results presentation for the half year ended the 31st of March 2025. Chris and I will be following the agenda shown on the screen. After I've covered the highlights section, Chris will cover the group's first half results, including a segmental review, and then I will provide a progress update on the implementation and delivery of our strategy, including an outlook for the group. We will open up the floor to Q&A at the end of the presentation. During the first half of the financial year, we made further positive progress implementing the changes required across the business to deliver our strategic plan. I'm pleased to be able to report on the strong performance achieved in H1 against a challenging macroeconomic background. This is a testament to the progress the group is making, delivering our strategy, and the resilience and depth of experience across our leadership team in navigating complex market dynamics. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our customers for their continued and growing confidence in G&H. And secondly, to extend my sincere thanks to all our employees around the world for their hard work, and highlight the positive way the workforce is adapting to the fluid global challenges we face, many of which are beyond our control, whilst proactively embracing the changes needed to influence those that are within our control, and doing so at speed. As reported in our trading update in April, whilst H1 activity levels in the group's industrial laser and semiconductor markets remained subdued, demand from our aerospace and defence and life sciences markets was strong, and revenues from our fibre optic products used in subsea data cable networks also grew in the period. Revenues for the first half of the year increased by 11.4% to £70.9 million, compared to £63.6 million in the prior period. Adjusted operating profit for the period increased by 60.5% to £6.2 million, compared to £3.8 million in the first half of the prior year. Following the acquisition of Phoenix Optical at the beginning of our financial year, I can report that the integration of this business is proceeding to plan, with commercial synergies already being realised. And last month, aligned to our strategy, we were pleased to announce the addition of Global Photonics to the group, significantly extending our aerospace and defence offering and capabilities in North America. I will provide more detail on this later in the presentation. The group's order book increased to £121.5 million, compared to £104.5 million at the year end, with Phoenix Optical bringing approximately £7 million of this increase. We saw a positive book-to-bill ratio in the first half of the year, which has continued into H2. G&H generated net cash from operations of £2.6 million, compared with £2.5 million in the same period of 2024. And reflecting the strategic investments made by the group, net debt increased to £35.5 million, compared to £25.8 million at the prior year end, with a leverage ratio of 1.3 times. The board has declared an interim dividend of 4.9 pence, and our expectations for full year performance of the group remain unchanged, although in the current unprecedented environment of macroeconomic uncertainty and fluidity, near-term execution risks have increased. G&H has strong prospects for profitable growth in the coming years, underpinned by positive underlying tailwinds from our technologies and capabilities that remain present in all of our target end markets, supported by the progress we are making to accelerate the delivery of our strategy. I will now pass you across to Chris to take you through the financial results for the first half of our year 2025 in more detail.
Thanks, Charlie. So, as you've heard from Charlie, the group's revenues grew strongly by 7.5% on an organic constant currency basis, driven very much by the performance of our A&D segment, which more than compensated for a delay in the recovery of our industrial segment. Adding the contribution of the acquired Phoenix business, reported revenues grew by 11.4% to £70.9 million for the 6 months period. Thanks to the additional volume and the benefits of our strategic actions, gross margins improved to 30.4%. The outsourcing of selected product lines to our low-cost region suppliers, operational improvements in our factories, and a growing proportion of our revenue coming from more complex margin-accretive products all contributed to that improvement. Our spend in R&D was maintained at similar levels to the first half of 2024. Primary areas of focus for our R&D teams in the period were fibre optic module assemblies used for both telecoms and sensing applications, and further development of complex electro-optic assemblies which are used in both land and air platforms. The additional volumes and the benefits of our margin-accretive actions drove adjusted operating profit up 60.5% to £6.2 million for the 6 months period. The adjusted effective tax rate was 22.9%, which is consistent with the group's expected medium-term rate of around 25%. Adjusted profit before tax was £5.1 million, and the adjusted basic earnings per share 15p. Non-underlying charges excluded from our adjusted profit totaled £2.2 million, of which cash was £1.1 million, arising from our M&A and restructuring activities. Whilst the new US tariff regime didn't take effect until after the end of the reporting period, we've notified our customers that we intend to pass on any incremental costs to them, an approach they have confirmed is in line with our industry peers. We've developed new reporting tools to enable us to quickly assess the impact on existing customer orders so that we can apply a tariff surcharge where required and protect the group's margins. We're also actively resourcing our supply of certain raw materials required in our production processes where availability has been restricted by the Chinese retaliating against the new tariffs. Given the group's considerable US-based manufacturing presence, we believe the new tariff regime could, over time, be a benefit to some parts of our business against their non-US competitors. Turning now to cash flow, which is on slide 5. Net cash flow from operating activities totaled £2.6 million. Working capital levels increased by £6.7 million from the end of 2024. This was driven by a growth in receivables, given high levels of invoicing in March, which have since been converted to cash in the first months of the second half. The group's inventory also grew by £5.3 million. This will support the group's higher trading levels in the second half. But in addition, we have decided deliberately to increase our inventory of some materials, such as germanium, in response to new uncertainties in the availability of these materials. Capital expenditure on tangible and intangible assets was £3.4 million. Principal areas of investment in the 6 months period were in our fibre optic facility in Torquay, where we continued our investment in new fibre optic module assembly lines as programs migrate to their production phase. We also invested in additional heavy water for our Cleveland facility in order to increase their crystal growth capacity. This investment was accelerated from the second half in order to take receipt of those materials in advance of the new tariff that came into effect at the beginning of April. Net cash outflow on the acquisition of the Phoenix business totaled £2.7 million. That comprised consideration paid of £2.9 million, less cash received with the business of £200,000. Transaction fees total 300k. Deferred contingent consideration of up to £3.35 million is payable based on the financial performance of the business in the 3 years ended 30th of June 2027. We've assessed the present value of the deferred consideration liability at 31st of March to be £1.7 million. Net debt, excluding lease liabilities at the end of March, was £24 million, rising to £35.5 million when lease liabilities are added. Our leverage ratio, as measured for our banking covenant, was 1.3 times compared to the facility cap of 2.5 times. On a pro forma basis, once the Global Photonics acquisition completes, our net debt EBITDA ratio is expected to rise to around 1.6 times and is then expected to fall in the rest of the second half based upon our forecast trading. At the 31st of March, the group had drawn $38.4 million on its revolving credit facility. On the 1st of April, we extended that facility out to March 2030, increased the committed facility from 50 to 55 million, and secured a margin improvement of 15 basis points across the margin grid. Following the completion of the Global Photonics acquisition, a further $5 million will be converted from the accordion to the committed facility, resulting in a final facility of $60 million and an uncommitted accordion of $10 million. Turning now to slide 6 in our industrial segment. So sales into our industrial market declined by 6.5% on an organic constant currency basis. Recovery in our industrial laser and semiconductor markets remains delayed, and indeed production call-offs of some products used in the latest deep and extreme ultraviolet photolithography machines are reducing as our end customer trims their build rates. The uncertainty generated by the fast-changing US tariff regime is impacting confidence and delaying the recovery of these markets. Offsetting to some extent these reductions, we saw further growth in revenue from the subsea data cable market. Deliveries of our newly developed complex amplifier assemblies grew as we supported our end customers' delivery of their new cable networks. The ramp-up in build rates of these more complex fibre optic assemblies has been enabled by the full transfer to our contract manufacturing partners of the build of our high reliability fibre couplers, allowing our own production facilities and skilled operators to be transitioned to this new, more complex work. Despite the reduced revenue in this segment, adjusted operating profit grew by 10.2%, compared with the first half of 2024 to £3.8 million, and the adjusted return on sales percentage increased to 12.7%. This was thanks to the benefits of a higher proportion of complex assemblers, which command better margins within the segment's revenue, together with the benefits of margin accretion that comes from the transfer of high reliability fibre couplers and other acousto-optic products to our low-cost contract manufacturing partners. Moving on then to our A&D segment on slide 7. Revenues grew very strongly by 30% on an organic constant currency basis compared to the first half of 2024. The conflict in Ukraine is, together with a recognition by many Western NATO countries that they need to increase their defence spending, is generating high levels of demand for the group's precision optic systems, which are a critical element within most modern defence systems. In addition, the combination of our recently acquired Artemis and Phoenix businesses with the existing capabilities of the G&H group means that we are now able to offer more comprehensive product offerings to our customers and win new business. Deliveries of our super polished optical components, which are used in ring laser gyros, increased again thanks to our end customers' programs growing, but also as a result of the improvements we have made at our Moore Park, California facility to increase production throughput and yield, thereby allowing us to capture more of our customers' overall demand. Additional volumes in this segment, together with our operational efficiency improvements, resulted in the segment generating a profit in the period of 600k, evidence of the early stage turnaround of this segment. The integration of the Phoenix business is proceeding to plan. The acquisition has already allowed the group to secure new customer orders, and combined capacity planning between Phoenix and the group's other precision optics sites is supporting the Phoenix business in delivering its record order book. The group has moved quickly to identify alternative sources of germanium, following the Chinese government's decision to restrict supply to Western countries. Germanium is used in many of our products supplied into the defence market, and we believe our newly established supply chain relationship for the provision of this material provides us with a competitive advantage. Moving on to slide 8. Our life sciences revenues grew by 14.2% on an organic constant currency basis. Revenues from our medical diagnostic markets grew compared to the first half of 2024, thanks to strong end market demand for one of our customers' instruments. We're also pleased to see the launch of the first 2 instrument production programs in our recently established life sciences facility in Rochester, New York State. There was recovery in volumes of our Pockle cells that are used in medical lasers from their very low levels in the first half of 2024. But given the increasing competition we are facing from low-cost Chinese suppliers, we've made the decision to end of life the majority of our product lines in this market, which on average account for around 4 to 5 million of group revenues. We've invited our customers to place last-time buy orders with us, which we will deliver over the coming 18 months, at which point our Cleveland, Ohio facility, where those Pockle cells are manufactured, will transition to further develop its capacity for the growth of crystals used both within our group and sold directly to our end customers. Despite the growth in revenues in this segment, margins declined to 12%. In our medical diagnostics business, pre-negotiated lower production pricing came into effect on one of our instrument programs as volumes increased, while pricing for our Pockle cells came under pressure as a result of the increased competition from low-cost suppliers that I've just described. We expect margins in this segment to recover as we secure the benefits of more revenue through our life sciences facility in Rochester and some selective outsourcing of other product lines to our own low-cost suppliers. Thank you. I'll now hand you back to Charlie.
Thank you, Chris. In June 2023, I announced our new strategy focused on delivering sustainable margin growth and explained the clear executable path that we are following to deliver mid-teen returns over the medium term. G&H's strategy to become an innovative, customer-focused technology company delivered responsibly by making a better world with photonics continues to progress positively, and the foundational building blocks are now in place. We remain laser-focused on ensuring G&H becomes and remains the first choice for all our stakeholders, including our employees, customers, shareholders, our ecosystem partners, and the communities in which we operate. We will achieve this by offering differentiated performance through focusing on the 4 key strategic priorities you see outlined on the slide. Through our people, by creating a high-performance, purpose-led culture across the whole company, from self-help activities to improve customer experience and operational execution. Through technology, deploying our advanced photonics engineering talent and know-how more effectively to accelerate our time to market for new technologies into commercially attractive applications. And finally, by applying greater discipline and rigor in the allocation of resources to deliver accretive growth both organically and inorganically. We have refocused the business to invest in higher margin products and sectors at the same time as addressing non-performers, in combination with making several exciting speed-to-value acquisitions. On the next slide, I would like to provide an update on the contribution we expect from the 5 primary building blocks to deliver the step up to mid-teens returns that we are targeting by 2028. 100 basis points from better utilization of our well-invested factories from increased volumes. 250 basis points from proactively expanding our outsourcing activities at an earlier stage in the product life cycle to our proven contract manufacturing partners. 200 basis points through productivity gains from cost of poor quality reduction and other efficiency improvements. 100 basis points from the successful introduction of higher margin new products and the increased mix of subsystem solutions with greater G&H technology content. And finally, 150 basis points of accretion from portfolio enhancement through non-core product rationalization and accretive bolt-on M&A. On the next slide, I would like to provide an update on the progress that has already been made in our aerospace and defense business unit since we launched our new strategy. When I joined G&H in September 2022, the group's A&D business was not in good shape. As well as being loss-making, there was also severe problems around customer service, and the size and quality of the new business opportunity pipeline was weak. Through the focused deployment of our new strategy, I'm pleased to report that the overhaul and turnaround of our A&D business is progressing well. The return on sales in this segment has improved by over 1,100 basis points and is expected to continue to increase during H2 2025 and over the coming years. G&H's refocused and upgraded customer-led aerospace and defense team are delivering these planned benefits through operational improvements, productivity gains, supply chain action, disciplined NPI, and R&D activities. This has been accelerated by the successful implementation of our portfolio strategy, focused on divesting non-core parts of the business and adding carefully selected complementary speed-to-value bolt-on acquisitions. The group's A&D business is now uniquely positioned to meet increased demand from existing customers, capture new business opportunities, and become a full optical system solution provider for defense primes in the US, UK, Europe, and the rest of the world. On outsourcing, we are proactively implementing our previously announced plan to use lower-cost region manufacturing partners for certain stable product lines at an earlier stage in their product life cycle, where technological sovereignty, where they're made, is not a differentiator. We expect the proportion of the group's revenues built by contract manufacturing partners to increase from less than 5% in 2022 up to circa 25% by 2028. During the first half of this last financial year, we continued to make good progress with implementing this plan. A dedicated leadership and upgraded supply chain function are in place across the business, including the expansion of our capable G&H team embedded in Thailand. We've expanded the outsourcing of additional acousto-optic products to include our 80 MHz product line, and we have now successfully ramped up full volume production of high reliability submarine fiber optic couplers with our partner in Thailand, including the receipt of additional customer approvals for the manufacture of these products at this location. After closing our factory in Shanghai last year, we've expanded our approved low-cost region manufacturing partners to now include factories in Thailand, India, and the Czech Republic. And the qualification of additional product lines across all these locations is underway for more transfers in the second half of this year and into 2026. On value creation from our technology focus on the next slide, we continue to refine our customer-focused technology roadmaps to deploy platform design solutions, accelerating time to market where G&H has technology-led differentiation. Let me provide an update of some of the progress that's been made and the status after the first half of this year. Spending on R&D of £3.5 million in the first half was broadly in line with the prior year. Our strengthened acousto-optic engineering and product line management team are making positive progress with the development and commercialization of optimized germanium-based modulators for advanced CO2 lasers that are used in cutting-edge semiconductor fabrication and metrology. The refocused fiber optics engineering group are seeing successful customer take-up on next-generation fiber optic modules for extreme ultraviolet 13.5 nanometer wavelength semiconductor fabrication, as well as high-reliability submarine amplifiers, environmental sensing, and medical diagnostics. Our precision optics and optical systems development team continue to design novel imaging and sighting solutions for land, air, and naval defense systems, complemented by our advanced thin film coating and laser protection filter offering. And we also formally opened our new Life Sciences Innovation Hub in Rochester, New York, at the beginning of May. As you've already heard from Chris, during the first half of the year, we took the decision to reduce our technology roadmap focus from 7 to 6 key areas. We've decided to proactively exit the design and manufacture of Pockle cells for the medical lasers market due to the increasing competition we're seeing from lower-cost Chinese suppliers. However, over the medium term, we still expect these 6 remaining R&D work streams to deliver the more than 50 million margin accretive new business from next-generation product introductions we outlined at the launch of our strategy. On the next slide, I would like to share an update on a new product success in our life sciences business. Organox's incredible machines are revolutionizing the world of donor organ transplantation to deliver more reliable transplant outcomes for patients and ensure improved logistics and operational effectiveness for hospitals. Our life sciences business, headquartered in Ashford in Kent, was awarded the design for manufacture, regulatory qualification support, and volume production contract for Organox's Metra liver transplant equipment, as pictured on the slide. This is a highly complex medical device delivering life-changing machine perfusion. In the first half of the year, G&H successfully ramped up production to meet the increased demand for this product following their successful FDA regulatory approval for access into the US market. Our experienced medical and diagnostic device R&D team are also supporting with the development of Organox's next generation kidney transplant machine. This partnership is expected to unlock multi-million-pound new business opportunities for the group over the coming years through our unique medical and IVD design, device design and manufacturing capability that we are now able to offer from both the UK and North America. On the 14th of May, in line with our strategy of speed to value acquisitions, we announced that the group had entered into an agreement to acquire US-based Global Photonics, previously known as Meopta US. From its well-invested facilities near Tampa, Florida, an image is shown on the slide, this highly regarded Global Photonics team supplies optical systems for military land applications, including periscopes, fire control systems, as well as avionics instrumentation and other advanced precision optics. This acquisition brings expertise in complex optical assembly, cleanroom lithography, photolithographic reticle fabrication, ion beam etching, and advanced thin film coatings that complement G&H's existing manufacturing capabilities and significantly enhance the group's offering into the North American market. The transaction represents another exciting speed-to-value bolt-on deal by G&H. Global Photonics is a strong strategic and operational fit for the group, bringing deep application expertise, strong relationships with US defense primes, and complementary manufacturing capabilities to our growing optical systems division. The acquisition accelerates our plan to become the partner of choice for high precision optical systems in the UK, Europe, and North America. It opens exciting new growth channels in the US, accelerating the creation of a scalable, US laser protection coating center of excellence for the group, and offers a credible, high-volume, made in North America manufacturing center for our imaging and sighting systems that are designed at our facility in Keene, New Hampshire. The establishment of a full optical systems engineering and manufacturing capability in the US for the aerospace and defense market mirrors our successful strategy for the US healthcare sector following the recent opening of our G&H Innovation Hub for Life Sciences in Rochester, New York. The strategic rationale for this deal is clear and compelling. Revenue synergies through our combined commercial pipeline have already been identified, and the initial customer feedback, I'm pleased to report, has been very encouraging. Global Photonics, as part of G&H, brings together industry-leading optical know-how and capability that will accelerate value creation for the group in North America. On the next slide, a full year outlook update. The group's order book remains strong, particularly for our A&D businesses. However, following the announcement of a new global trading policy by the US administration in April and the consequent retaliatory measures from China and other nations, we are seeing an increase in near-term uncertainty from many customers in our industrial, semiconductor, and life sciences markets. This has resulted in a softening demand levels from our industrial market persisting longer than we had expected, and we are seeing new delays in some infrastructure and life sciences projects. However, to emphasize, the positive book-to-bill ratio I spoke about earlier that we saw in the first half and continues into the second half of the year shows that our order book is continuing to grow. As outlined at the last bullet on the slide, it currently stands above 125 million, providing more than 95% cover to deliver our expected full year 2025 expected outturn. So in summary, on the final slide, as a result of the operational and supply chain improvements made over the last couple of years, the group is well positioned to benefit from recovering demand levels in the semiconductor and other markets. Our design engineering resources are refocused on delivering a customer-led vital few list of next-generation development projects. Value creation synergies from recent acquisitions are being realized, and the addition of Global Photonics will only accelerate this activity. While we are mindful of the current uncertain macroeconomic and geopolitical landscape, G&H's healthy growing order book, strengthening market positions, and differentiated photonics expertise aligned to structural growth drivers from megatrends all provide confidence in the group's ability to deliver further progress on our journey to mid-teen returns, and over the medium and longer term, deliver value for all of our stakeholders. So that brings the presentation material to a close.
That's great. Charlie, Chris, thank you very much for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions, and you can do so just by using the Q&A tab that's situated on the top right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the company take a few moments to review the questions that have been submitted today, I'd like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboards. As you can see, we have received a number of questions, both pre-submitted and throughout today's live presentation. And Charlie and Chris, what I'll do is I'll just hand back to you to read out the questions, and I'll pick up from you at the end.
Okay. Well, I think there was a couple of pre-submitted ones which I can answer. I mean, how are you using AI in the business? So for some time now, we've been using AI actually in our finance areas to identify sort of anomalous transactions in the finance bookings. Our people also tend to use AI tools for the generation of some written reports, for example, technical publications and things like job specs. The thing that I'm quite excited about actually is we're then developing our own in-house kind of AI toolkit that I think we can use a little bit more in a predictive manner to try and predict for example, the trends in some of the demands, perhaps from some of the sub-markets into which we play. And then there was a second pre-submitted one, which was what is management board stock ownership like? So at the moment, the board members hold directly around 76k of G&H shares. I think probably the more significant is myself and Charlie and many members of the senior management team at G&H, a part of a long-term incentive plan, which is in the form of nil-cost stock options. That hopefully gives you a flavour in terms of how we are in those areas. There's one here around, do you expect earnings to cover the cost of the dividend in FY25? Yes, we do. I expect the dividend cover to be north of 2.5 times for financial year 25. Next one, what are the key operational drivers such as yield improvement, product mix that will support progress towards your mid-teen return on sales targets by 2028? Again, in the material, I think Charlie spoke to as we were going through, we tried to set out, the steps that get us from, 7-8% return on sales to those mid-teens. We tried to allocate based on our latest strategic plans, how each of those steps will contribute. Certainly yield improvement is considered to be an important step. I think we attributed around 2.5% to those particular activities. We're already seeing, the benefits of that coming through. I mentioned earlier in the presentation, our Moore Park, California facility was one that was in 2024 was suffering from fairly poor yield and scrap rates as a result of certainly the additional training that we've done of our employees in that facility, and also, frankly, some support in terms of better on the shop floor management, production engineering. We've been able to reduce our scrap rates quite significantly. So that's a nice example, hopefully, to you for the margin accretion that can come from some of the operational improvements we're driving through our factories. On the product mix side, again, that's going to be important for us. And an example we've given in the past actually is the product we supply into the subsea data cables. Historically, we've provided high reliability fibre couplers, but what we're doing is migrating to provide more complex amplifier modules to our customers. Those kind of modules, they're more complex, they command better pricing and therefore better margins. So again, hopefully two nice examples for you of how those kind of things support our journey to being a more profitable business and getting to mid-teen returns by 2028.
This next one is the emerging micro LED technology relevant to any of your optical products or applications? Is it on your roadmap? Again, I think with regard to this question, I think particularly the whole subject of miniaturization of our technology in photonics is constantly being addressed by our R&D teams, and our fiber optics team definitely have exposure to micro LED technology in the solutions that they're providing.
Charlie, Chris, I think that actually covers all of the questions that you've received. Of course, the company can review any further questions submitted today, and we will publish responses on the Investor Meet Company platform. But just before redirecting investors to provide you with their feedback, which is particularly important to the company, Charlie, could I just ask you for a few closing comments?
Yeah, I mean, I firstly thank you very much for joining this call for our results. I think I'd like to emphasize how the medium-term market dynamics for our technologies and capabilities are looking very positive in all of our target markets, and this is only being complemented by the progress that we're making in the delivery of our new strategy across the group. So we are confident and positive about the future prospects for G&H. Thank you.
That's great, Charlie. Chris, thank you once again for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you now be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order the management team can better understand your views and expectations. On behalf of the management team of Gooch and Housego PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's presentation, and good afternoon to you all.